band is this?
Everybody poops sometimes.
Give us the
Wake up, sweetness.
Your first time should be more than special.
I'm in, Savannah said. Good Lord, Gemma.
When a man and a woman, in this case, really, really love each other, what happens is they fuck.
Ooh, hello?
Oh, dang it, I lost my fish. This next word almost sounds like Quidditch. Quidditch milade Diana Agosiagath an Fiedian. As much as I love fucking you, sweetness, we stared into each other's eyes whilst I moaned in ecstasy. Having consumed half of the bourbon, I keep saying bourbon. You know, every time I mess up on a word, Stunt Mama just shows up.
She had her seductive smile on her lips.
I said we couldn't have sex. I didn't say anything about everything else. Ew. Happy to help, biatch. You are the spark of light and the vastness of my night. His note, like a finality to a beautiful, breathtaking song.
Good evening. It's wonderful to see you all. I hope you're ready for something different tonight. Even I don't know what's gonna happen. But welcome to the Funhouse. Alright, enough of that. Amlas, good to see you. How are you? And thank you for the comments about the intro videos changing with the books. I do try. Sometimes better than others. Depends on the book and my resources. But, yeah, I appreciate that.
It's Michael's lowest prices of the season.
What? Why is there an ad? Stupid video music. Skip. Yes, and Short King, Chevy, what is up, my dude? Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Same to you, nerd. Why is there another ad? What the hell? If it keeps doing that over and over, we are switching tunes. Nerdy, it's good to see you as well. And Gray. My sweet, innocent Gray. Hi. Well. Oh, I forgot to, need that in there, which means we need to move this. I'm a pro streamer, by the way. Just in case nobody knew. So yes, we are starting a brand new book tonight, as you can see in the corner there. And, after that, I'll be in Discord, continuing our journey through Fourth Wing, which has been a fantastic book. I can't read it on stream, though, otherwise I would get in much trouble. And I don't want to get in much trouble, because that's bad. Rexter! How are you, sir? It is great to see you. Yeah. Brand new book. It's always good to have you here. I can't wait to meet you. Seriously. Cannot wait. It's gonna be a good time. Let me read to you the back of this book real quick. Oh, here's your puzzle too. For anyone that wishes to dive into a puzzle. Enjoy that.
Sorry, I just realized my pitch changer was on this whole time. Right. No one said anything. Let me read the back before we get into it. It's very simple. It's very short. It was supposed to be for the clowns, absolutely. But I certainly wasn't going to read with that on the whole time. It was just supposed to be for the intro, for the opener, and then I forgot to turn it off. Because I'm a professional, okay? Get ready for 3 gory, horror-filled short stories that make one epic novella.
She hadn't made a milkshake in years, for fear that they would return. She starts the blender reluctantly. In the distance, it screams. The boys had returned. They were coming to her yard.
Yes, they were. Thank you, Rexter. 3 gory, horror-filled short stories that make one epic novella about the carnival from hell. Happy world. Would you like a balloon? No, I would not. But something tells me we're going to get one. Yes, we are. So without further ado, I encourage you to sit back, try and relax, and I will read to you. I'm cracking this. I never read ahead, for any of you that don't know this. I get my books, but I never read ahead. And Roll is here. Hi, Chaos. Lurking while I'm trying to sleep. Well, you picked the wrong book for that. Probably. But I guess we'll find out. I'm going to crack it open for the first time. I never pre-read books, okay? The only thing I read in advance is the front and back cover. That is it. So I'm going to crease this open for the first time. The survivors' accounts of the depraved funhouse. Nah, I'm one of those weirdos who can sleep to weird stuff. So hi and bye from the UK. Delegate of the fan club. Well, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am. Y'all have yourself a wonderful night. Sleep tight, okay? All right. Phony's here. Hi, Lux. Thank you for the bits. Ooh. I'm going to need my tea sooner than I thought. I do have hot tea with me as well. Thank you for the 100 bits. How are you, Lux? It's good to see you. I'm just looking inside the front of the book here, just seeing if there's anything that I should mention before we get into it. Oh, that's interesting. Entry 1, the balloon. And here's a picture. It's a creepy looking balloon. I'm not sleeping for once after babysitting my grandson. Well, hey, how about that? Good job, I think. It's going to be a great time. I have no idea how long this will take, how long it will last, but I'm here for the ride. If anyone wants to check out this book, by the way, there's a link. !Funhouse, as you can see in chat. Feel free to click on that. It's a little bit different than our usual, Amazon link. This will take you to a personalized page by the author. Why is there another ad? Lurking on your lovely. Thank you, Mal. You know,
It's okay to play with their food. Grab some Little Bites
this
muffins
music
and join the fun at
may not
littlebites.com.
work
Listen up. I devise a plan to find better homes.
because it is ruining the mood with all these ads.
Monitor our projected data usage.
I'm trying to get a vibe going here, and it's not working. FPS, my dude, what's up? All right, we'll see how the tunes do. If it does that again in a relatively short space of time, we are definitely gonna swap it out for something else. Here with baby FPS, nice. Nighttime bottle, lovely. I'm gonna take a quick sip, and then we're just gonna get right into reading, because I've been curious about this book ever since I learned about it, and I want to see what it's all about. Delicious, absolutely delicious. Some good stuff. Whew, that's hot. All right. Of course it's hot. It's hot tea, and it's on a warmer. I should not be surprised. Anyway, here we go. Entry 1, The Balloon. Let me begin this by saying that I share my story with you all purely by order of my psychiatrists. They labor under the delusion that reaching out to others about everything that happened to me might provide me with some form of catharsis. Personally, I'm more inclined to believe that it's because they know I've not been taking my sleeping pills at lights out. I've tried explaining to them why. I can't stand to see their faces. The nightmares are always the same. They surround me with their pasty, complexionless faces with bright crimson face paint on their wide open eyes with no lids, and their split open grins carved from ear to ear. They just stand there, giggling and asking me, "Would you like a balloon?" I suppose that's where my story would truly begin, with that one innocent question. Or rather, the reason that question now haunts me in my sleep. Happy World. Happy World, home of everlasting smiles, was their tagline. Unfortunately, it was far too fitting for those who weren't lucky enough to ever get out of the place. Those like my best friend, Derek Cromwell. I still remember those early days. I met Derek when I was 12 years old. Me and my folks moved down here to Tennessee from New York after my father lost his job there as a car salesman. I remember back then thinking how quiet it was compared to the urban chaos I'd grown up in previously. I mean, while I wasn't popular among peers or anything, I did have a few buds back at the Big Apple that I wouldn't be able to talk to anymore. As could have been expected, Mom always hit me with the classic, "You'll make new friends, honey, just you wait and see." Every time I protested. In retrospect, she was correct. Only 2 weeks after we moved here, there I was, standing in the Blockbuster Video, located only about a mile's walking distance from the new neighborhood. I know. Talk about convenience, right? When I ran into him. He was about 1/4 of a foot taller than me, with broad shoulders and jet black hair. "Oh, sorry," I said, hoping to just subtly bail without being noticed. I tried to just backpedal over to where the PlayStation games were. After all, I was there looking for Resident Evil 2 at the time. That's when he spoke up. "Oh shit, didn't see you there, man." I kinda smiled and just said, "Nah, that's cool." He smirked and went back to staring at the shelves in front of him. No way. They're in town next month? Confused, I snapped my head in his direction and saw that he was looking at a poster. I walked over and looked at the poster he was looking at, seeing a big-ass red grin staring back at me. Everlasting smiles. Christ. What's up? I asked him. Happy World, dude. I just stared at him, eyebrows cocked in confusion. You've never heard of Happy World? He gasped in exaggerated shock, his eyes bulging out of their sockets at me. An image that haunts me every time I hear the word balloon. I just shook my head at him, feeling the overwhelming compulsion to run for the exit. Sorry, man. I'm, new here? He piped up, apparently already knowing how I could have possibly lived ignorant of what Happy World was. With all the excitement you'd expect to see from a 13-year-old hopped up on too much caffeine, Derek then spends the next 10 minutes explaining that Happy World was this funhouse attraction that'll open up every once in a blue moon and stays open for about a month or so before randomly closing down and basically vanishing. Naturally, I asked him what he meant by vanishing. For a moment, he just stared at me the way a deer stares at headlights just before it gets run over. God damn it, why did I have to think of that analogy? Too real. Before shrugging his shoulders. Don't know, dude. They're just there one day, and about a month later, they're just gone. Building will be closed down and everything. It'll look like no one or nothing was ever there to begin with. He then went on to tell me about the different clowns that would perform tricks and stuff. I just nodded my head as he went on, my attention fixed primarily on the creepy-ass clown face smiling at me at the poster. I remember how it kind of made me shudder to look at it. The thing was, back then I had no problem with clowns. Hell, every year for spring break, Ma would take me to see Greatest Show on Earth when they came to town. But something about this particular clown poster just didn't sit right. The face had bright red teardrop-shaped designs around his eyes, with long red lines connecting to the corners of its cartoonishly wide red lips. The eyes were pitch dark, with only 2 tiny white dots in the center, giving them any pronunciation. Below the clown face were the words, Happy World, home of everlasting smiles, coming June 5th. I wonder if he'll actually come out this time. His words finally jolting my focus away from the poster. Who? The Amazing Bel Air. He's their leader, or at least that's what they tell us. What does he do? Derek looked at me, mirroring my own clueless expression, and shrugged. I don't know. I've never actually seen him. In fact, I don't think anybody has. How do you know he's real? I asked him. Good question, he said with a chuckle. Maybe he's like a animatronic, like a Chuck E. Cheese, he quipped. This time I laughed. Or maybe he's a ghost. I chimed in, making my eyes go wide, open, and making fake ghost sounds. Should have said he was the devil himself. That would have been more accurate. He started busting a gut at this. The kid behind the register, an older high school dropout whose face was so gaunt and pasty that he might as well have been a ghost himself, told us to quiet down, apparently having disrupted his nap. Sorry, man. We'll take it outside, Derek said with a careless grin plastered all over his face. Whatever. The kid behind the register groaned, rolling his eyes before dropping his head back down into his folded arms on the counter, letting his long, black lion's mane hair fall down and cover his folded arms. Yeah, go back to your paid beauty nap, jackass. I remember thinking with a smirk. We left the store and started walking down the sidewalk, laughing like the goofball kids we were. He told me some of the theories his friends had about the amazing Bel Air, like the one about him having 3 eyes and able to tell your future, and other outlandish ideas like that. We just went on walking and talking like this for about another half hour before I figured I should start heading back home. Hey, wait, he exclaimed, putting his hand on my shoulder. What's your name, new kid? Oh, Linus? Linus Davies. I'm Derek. Nice to meet you, Linus. He held out his hand. I told him it was nice to meet him too and shook his hand. You're pretty cool, Linus. I hope we can hang out some more. I grinned and said, me too, before parting ways and heading home. On the way home, I thought about one thing. Happy World. I won't lie, even though I was too old to be into that kind of shit, I was intrigued. The next day, I decided to walk to the Blockbuster video again on the off chance he might frequent the place. I wanted to ask him more about Happy World, like, were there age restrictions? What were the other clowns like? And so on. Sure enough, there he was, along with 2 of his buddies. They didn't seem to notice me, so I was able to listen to the latter half of their conversation about what else but the creepy clown poster. So are you guys planning on going? Derek asked the kid on his left, a short, lanky boy with curly, bright orange hair and glasses. Can't. Folks are out of town for a business trip. The kid winked and nudged Derek's arm before taking a swig of his surge. Okay, Ray's out. What about you, Corey? He asked, the kids on the right. A tall, pudgy kid with a brunette mullet, wearing a black leather vest over his Danzig t-shirt. I don't know. Don't you think that routine's kinda old? What do you mean? Don't you want to finally see him? The amazing Bel Air? I don't know, man. We keep going and we never find him. Got a point, dude. Ray chimed in. I'm honestly kind of wondering if maybe he's just a fad that the clowns shove in our faces to get us to come back. But what about all our stories? Don't you guys want to finally see if they're true? Derek whined, looking absolutely betrayed. Super. The After Hours Prohibition. What's up, man? How are you? They're cool legends, man, but maybe we should just leave it at that. Cool legends, Corey said. Derek hung his head down dejectedly. And Purple's here. Hi, Purple. How are you? Welcome to the Funhouse. Damn, all out of surge. Derek, can I borrow $1? I watched as Derek suddenly shuffled around in his pockets and hesitantly handed his friend a crumpled up bill. I appreciate it, dude. I'll see you guys tomorrow, Ray said as he headed out the door. Oh, wait up. I'm right behind you. Later, Derek, Corey said as he followed Ray, leaving Derek standing alone in front of the poster. You wanted to come hear the new story? Well, we're just getting started. Hey, man. He lifted his head to see me, his face now regaining some of its lost optimism. Oh, hey, dude. I didn't know you were here. Oh, I just got here a minute ago. I lied. I wanted to talk to you more about Happy World, actually. Huh. Figures? Nice, super. Way to put that booty on display. I like it. I was just talking to my buds about going in 3 weeks, he said as he pointed to the poster, chuckling at the irony. They both flaked on me, though. And to think, after all the times we spent wondering about the mysteries. Derek let out a dejected sigh. Why don't I go with you? The words jumped from my mouth before I even realized what I'd said. Derek's eyes went wide. I could see the excitement mold into his face. You mean it? For a moment, I stayed quiet, thinking, did I mean it? Well, yeah. Why not? I said with a careless smirk, shrugging my shoulders. I've got nothing better to do, and I'm curious to see what the amazing Bel Air is like. They used to tell me all the time that curiosity killed the cat. I wish I'd listened, because common sense wouldn't bring my ignorant ass back. Derek's face blasted the biggest smile I'd ever seen and shouted, "Hell yeah, up top," holding his hand up to gesture a high five. I smiled and returned the high five. A loud clap resonated so loud that it woke the kid behind the counter again. We walked home together that day, sharing more outlandish theories about Happy World and its mysterious ringmaster. When we got to my house, my mom was on the porch watering her daisies. "There you are, Linus. Go wash up, it's almost supper time." She looked over to Derek. "Who's this?" Before I could do or say anything, Derek piped up. "Derek Cromwell. Nice to meet you, ma'am." He thrust his arm outward to shake her hand. "Such a gentleman. It's nice to meet you too, Derek." Mom chuckled as she shook his hand. "Well, I better head home before my folks get worried," he said, holding up his hand to me for a high five. Tomorrow? Same time, same place?" I returned his high five, going in for a hug, and replied with, "You bet your ass." "Language," Mom scolded. I gave her the stereotypical oopsie-daisy smile and equally awkward as hell chuckle. She just smirked amusedly and rolled her eyes, telling me to head inside and get ready for supper. I still remember it was homemade calzone night, my favorite. I miss Ma's homemade calzones. They don't have anything like that in the cafeteria here at the Wacky Shack. "I'll see you later, dude," I shouted to him as I went inside. Damn, that sounds good right now. At dinner, I decided to ask my folks if they knew anything about Happy World. "I don't believe I saw anything about that when I scouted the area," Dad said with a ponderous expression on his face before taking a huge bite out of his calzone, some of the cheese and sauce hanging off his lips. Ma's calzones were the best, extra gooey cheese and overloaded with marinara. As he wiped his mouth with his napkin, he chuckled and said, "Then again, I didn't exactly pick this area based on its tourist attractions." Mom smiled at the joke and sipped her drink. "Stop, I'm drooling. I'm just reading what's written. That's on you." "Well, there's a poster for it at the Blockbuster where I hung out with Derek. And he says it's this cool funhouse that it's coming to town in 3 weeks, and I thought it'd be fun to check it out. He says it disappears randomly, and there's a mysterious clown nobody's ever seen before." Dad paused for a minute before saying, "That sounds cool and all, son, but We have to keep an eye on our money, and I'm almost willing to bet it ain't cheap to get in. My heart dropped. In all my excitement, I didn't even bother asking Derek about the price of admission. My head slumped down pitifully, wanting to plead my case, but realizing that might be a futile effort. That's when Ma, wearing that sly grin all mothers have when they've concocted an idea, piped up. I know. Why don't you go around the neighborhood tomorrow and see if any of the neighbors would be willing to kick you a few bucks for some manual labor? I looked up at Dad, who nodded over to Ma and shrugged his shoulders. In all honesty, it didn't seem like a half-bad idea to me. Yeah, guess it couldn't hurt, I replied nonchalantly, shrugging my shoulders to try and play it cool, even though I was just happy to have a plausible suggestion. Sleep on it, Ma said with a wink, silently calling BS on my obvious facade. Of course, I'd already made up my mind before going to sleep that night. Whatever it took, I was going to earn the money to get into Happy World. Little did I know that the true price was blood, not cash. Early the next morning, I quickly jumped out of bed, got dressed, grabbed a blueberry Pop-Tart, and headed out to look for work. It went like that for the next 3 weeks. Exact routine. Wake up, throw clothes on, scarf down Pop-Tart, go cut grass or clean gutters till sundown, collect pay, and head home. Eat some supper, and finally hit the sack for the night. Rinse and repeat. I was a little bummed that I couldn't spend time with Derek, but I knew it'd be damned well worth it when he and I could finally go to Happy World together and be the first to see the amazing Bel Air. I wish to God more than anything that I could just have those 3 weeks back. By the time June 5th rolled around, I'd managed to accrue $350 in cash, which might as well have been a fortune to my adolescent mind. The Fresh Prince? Yeah, I'm thinking not. I'm thinking, like whatever the opposite of fresh is. Yeah. Surely this would be enough, I told myself, looking at the fat bundle of bills in my hands. I remember being so excited that morning that as soon as my eyes opened, I bounded out of my room, down the stairs to wake up my parents. Ma, Dad, wake up! I remember shouting at them, shaking them until they stirred awake, groaning. What time is it? Dad whined, shielding his eyes from the early morning sunlight from the window. Linus, honey, it's too early. I just stood there, looking at her with pleading eyes, unable to contain my excitement. All right, go on and get dressed, she said with a warm smile, despite the fact that she was still half asleep. Fucking A, I shouted, forgetting that my parents were still present. Language, Ma groaned, reprimandingly. Right, sorry. I apologized for that all too familiar awkward-ass chuckle. Ma just smirked again, rolling her eyes before telling me, Go on, have fun. Be safe, I love you. But I was already bounding out of their room and into mine. Oh, I should have said, I love you too. Wherever she is now, I hope she knows that I love her and miss her so much. I threw on a t-shirt and jeans before making a pit stop to the kitchen for a Pop-Tart on the go. I thought for a moment and decided to grab a second pack for Derek. It would be his last meal. Before sprinting out of the front door and up to the Blockbuster, hoping I'd meet Derek there. Oh, where have you been? Derek exclaimed as soon as he saw me. Sure enough, He was there standing outside of the Blockbuster Video. Hey, listen, man, I'm sorry we couldn't hang out. I've been busy trying to earn money for Happy World. He just smiled and pulled me into a giant bear hug. I returned with a bear hug of my own as he said, "Heck, none of that matters now. I'm just happy you made it." Just then, this girl who looked around my age came walking out of the Blockbuster. She had long, jet black hair just like Derek's, and was wearing a green and white striped halter top with low-cut jean shorts. I remember looking into her oceanic blue eyes and instantly starting to blush. Damn, she's hot. I remember thinking to myself as she strutted over to Derek, her hips swaying with every step. "So, you ready to go or what?" she asked Derek, not seeming to have noticed me. Oh my goodness, it's a B12. And I forgot to put up my other thing. Where the heck is it? There it is. Fourth wing. I won. I don't know who to thank. Okay, I'd like to thank Luna for being the bestest girl. Super because he's in here. Rexter too. I mean, I guess Atkinson. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much for the award. You earned it, apparently. Twitch. Hello?
Hello?
Well, that was anticlimactic. But there's an iron here. Hi, Haley. How are you? Baby FPS is bathed, fed, and is drinking her goodnight bottle. Fantastic. Hello and good and you. I am doing pretty well. We're just getting into our scary book for the evening. Nothing scary yet, but we're building a momentum. All in a day for Daddy FPS. I remember it well, man. I remember it well. Just remember, those days are going to feel long, but they are not. I would take back some of those days any chance I got. Wow, Super. That is I don't know what to say. That's a face. I cherish every single moment I get with her. Yeah. It goes by so fast. Okay, and there's my face. All right. Well, thank you, B12. I appreciate it. I appreciate how you said that right after my face showed up. It's very kind of. That's probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me, actually. Gosh. Bless my heart. Bless your heart. You're so kind. I'm gonna keep reading while you shenanigans. All right, yeah, so I'm assuming this is Derek's sister that just showed up with the oceanic blue eyes. Oh god, there's a stunt mama. Nice. Why is nothing working? I don't understand.
The real B12 asked me, why is Atkinson such a punk? Atkinson's just having fun on the stream. Maybe they're trying to keep things lively. Remember, It's all in good spirits. Don't take it too seriously. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, buddy.
Wise words. That was very delayed, but wise words. Buddy. Sit back and relax. Right. Without further ado. Yeah, but first, Derek then looked at me and said, Linus, this is my younger sister, Liza. She looked at me and the left corner of her lip parted upward into a sly grin, like she knew I was crushing on her. Hey, I'm Linus, I said, trying not to make it quite so obvious, and failing. She snickered, even letting out a little pig snort that I thought was adorable, before replying with, I'm Liza, this Dork Lord's sister. That made me laugh, and Derek, with that careless grin I'll always remember him for, or at least fondly remember him for, just rolled his eyes and retorted, Yeah, okay, Chowderhead, laugh it up. Now, let's say we hit up Happy World. Hell yeah, I shouted, as me and Derek went in for a high five. Oh, I almost forgot, I said, pulling out the pack of Pop-Tarts I'd reserved for him. I didn't know if you'd eaten already, so I brought you a pack. He took the pack of Pop-Tarts, and his smile went from laid back to excited, like I'd just given him $100. Awesome, dude, I fucking love blueberry, Derek exclaimed. Great minds think alike, I suppose, I said with a shrug. See? Chowderhead, he's got good taste, he remarked to Liza. With a sarcastic smirk, she rolled her eyes and snickered before playfully telling Derek to shut up. Me and Derek just grinned as we piped up, shouting, Happy World, here we come, as we started making our way to the proclaimed home of everlasting smiles. So where is Happy World anyway? I asked Derek about an hour into the walk, as if by fate or an omen. There we were, face to face with the entrance. And that's the opening to the story. Now remember, this is 3 short stories combined into one. So I don't know how it's all going to break down as we get through the stories, but I'm looking forward to it. I'll give you one good guess how everyone gets those smiles. It's obviously because it's a balloon. They get a balloon. Has nothing to do with carving their mouths, I'm sure. Yes. So, here's for preference. The story right now is being told from, I've already forgotten his name. Gosh darn it. Not Derek. How could I forget his name? We just said it. For preference or reference? Reference. Reference. The story is being told from the character's perspective. Linus. And every so often, so this is like Linus telling us something that's happened in the past, and we're kind of like going there to that moment, if you think about it in that way, like a sizzling back in time, and then poof, we're there and we're living the moment. But every so often, there's these bracketed text where Linus in present day is giving us some more information. So, for example, when he was earning money over the 3-week period, there's a bracketed part which says, I wish to God more than anything that I could have those 3 weeks back. And so that's Linus kind of present time giving us more of an insight to the catastrophe that ensued from his past. Because he is in a psych ward right now, because everyone thinks he went nuts. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Maybe this tea is the best cup of tea you've ever had. You'll never know, because I'm drinking it. But I can tell you right now, it's delicious. Okay. Arlo. My dog's in here. We've had some bad weather. Oh, just kidding. He just left. We've been having some rough weather, like storms and stuff, roll through. And he gets very scared. So he actually... Oh, now he's back. He came into my office and he's hiding in here so he can be safe. Can't see him though because he's behind my screen. So there you go. Yeah, Luna's the same. Is that your puppy? He's your thunder buddy. That was such a great movie. I haven't seen that in ages. Let's see. An ad isn't supposed to start for another 14 minutes. However, since we're about to start part 2, I should probably just run it now. And then that way we don't have to deal with it. How's the music, by the way? Or is the music fitting the vibe? We can talk about B12 now. She can't hear us. And she's back. Okay, that's enough about B12. You know, B12, you talk about me being mean, but you're the one calling me a loser.
Super SB asked me, why can't I see ads? You might have an ad blocker enabled on your browser. Try disabling it and refreshing the page. If that doesn't work, reach out to the streamer for assistance. And hey, missing those ads might not be such a bad thing. Enjoy the uninterrupted content.
Do not reach out to the streamer. The streamer will not help you. I got another good screenshot. Oh, great. I need an assistance as per the AI. Yeah, go ahead and write down your question and I'll make sure to get to that soon. All right, it's telling me the ads are over. So now we can get back to the story. Are you ready? Oh, good. Let me go take a look. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, thanks so much. There was no ad for me and I didn't get one at the beginning. Amlas, can you go out and buy a lottery ticket for me, please? If we win, I'll split it with you. All I heard was, B12, and then it froze. Okay, well, it's worth repeating. I was saying, B12, that you're calling me mean, but you're the one calling me a loser. And I have feelings, okay? In Canada, we don't pay taxes on lottery winnings. Wow. What's that like? Not that I've ever won the lottery. You hate me. Also, I would, but I've been really sick for the past... Oh, that's right. Are you not feeling any better? I hope you do. You don't deserve to be sick. You don't play? Well, me neither. Rexter, we might need a timeout on B12 temporarily, because she's being a bit mean, UDI is gone, but got hit with a truck. Ugh. I'm really sorry to hear that. That stinks. No bueno. Well, I hope you can heal up quick. And I should read a story, because that is why we're here. Is that an order or a suggestion? I tell you what, Rexter. The next time you see B12 step out of line, you feel free to give her a timeout. Put her in the corner. You have my permission. Thank you. You've been warned, ma'am. Watching you. All right, chapter 2. She'll ban me from her channel. Yeah, she does. She does hold on to grudges. I went to the doctor. She said it was viral, probably COVID, but they didn't treat it differently. Just stay home until you're 24 with no symptoms. Ugh, that stinks. Yeah, B12 is in trouble. She's on my watch list. All right. I'm gonna get back to reading now. Chapter 2. I was a bit unnerved when I saw that it resembled a lot of the poster that advertised it. A gigantic, pasty white face with large red lips stretched from ear to ear. A red painted nose, as well as fuzzy orange hair and 2 enlarged, pitch black eyes with only 2 tiny white dots in the center of them. I remember my knees actually starting to shake when I looked into those eyes. They were that much more deranged up close, like they weren't even human. Like they were the devil's. I looked up to see a bright red archway forming the words Happy World that connected with the 2 gigantic red eyebrows. Welcome to Happy World, Derek proclaimed as he placed a hand on my shoulder, startling me out of my anxious stupor. I've been taking Tylenol and Advil, also sleeping. Really lucky my husband has been great. He's done everything for me. Good. I am happy to hear that. Imagine reading on a reading channel? Okay. Wow. Why are these celebration things not working? Is Twitch, like, broken? I activated it. Actually, I didn't even have to activate it. It was already turned on. It's working? I don't see anything. come I don't see it? That's so weird. That is so strange. All right, well, as long as it's working for you, that's top notch. On stream, it spams the emotes on your screen floating up. Yep, I don't see that at all. That's so weird. All right. Hey, if it's working for you, then good. Oh, yeah, looks awesome, dude. I bluffed in a botched attempt to mask my anxiety. Where is everybody? I wondered aloud, suddenly noticing a distinct lack of other patrons outside of the three of us. Shouldn't there be some kind of line? I remember asking myself. You don't see it because it's not on your OBS. That makes sense. Rexter with the logic. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, rock on. That means first in line for everything. Derek cheered. Despite the, albeit lax, allure of not having to wait in line for anything, I was hesitant. Hey man, I'm not so sure we should. But they just kept walking. You coming? Derek called out to me, still not seeming to notice my increasing apprehension. Something's not right here, I thought to myself, standing as frozen as the behemoth clown's abyssal eyes that firmly fixed me in their dead gaze. I could have turned back. The longer I stared at the structure, the more I began to notice the shadow's menacing pronunciation around the eyes. I wasn't feeling right at all about this anymore, and despite the disappointment, I knew how Derek would feel if I ran out on him. I just couldn't. Lurking, see you at 9? Yes, ma'am. You okay, dude? You look like you're staring at a ghost. Derek called out to me, now just 3 feet away from the clown structure's giant red lips. I broke from my staring contest with the clown and saw him and Liza standing there, looking confused. Oh, yeah, sorry, I stammered, failing once again to conceal the chilling anxiety that was working its way up my spine into my voice. It's not too late, you know, I thought to myself. Just tell him that you hear Ma calling. Hey, I got no further before I was startled by the sound of creaking metal. The 2 tiny white specks inside of the clown's eyes were now glowing. The bottom jaw of the clown began to lower, distending until its mouth was wide open to reveal the entrance. Once the gaping maw was open fully, I heard a buzzing whir as I watched a giant pink tongue eject from the inside. A deep, jovial voice then blasted from the entrance. Welcome to Happy World, home of everlasting smiles. Before blasting some sort of vintage carnival music that sounded a lot like whoever recorded it did so from their grandmother's record player that had been on its last legs. What were you going to say, Linus? Derek called to me. I looked at him. I could have turned back. And I saw the excitement on his face. No, nothing. Everything's fine. I lied, putting on a weak smile. Let's go in. Why didn't I tell him? That's what I'm talking about, Derek exclaimed, putting his hand up for a high five. Keeping my smiling facade, I returned Derek's high five as we stepped on the giant tongue sticking out of the clown's mouth. I felt another pricking chill crawl up my spine as the buzzing whir sounded again, causing the tongue to retract back into the mouth, followed by the bottom jaw rising up to meet the other half, sealing the entrance behind us and trapping us inside of its dark entry corridor. I'm pretty sure that's against some sort of regulation. There has to be a way out. For about 5 minutes, we just stood there in the dark. I couldn't see Derek or Liza, who should have been only inches away from me on my left and right. Derek, is that you? I wondered as my hands grazed what felt like someone's shoulder. Before he could answer, my heart hammered in my chest as the deep, jovial voice from before boomed from all around us. Welcome to Happy World. Are you ready to smile? Hell yeah, Derek shouted from my right. Liza whooped and cheered from my left. I just stood in the middle, too jarred by the unpleasant mix of sensory deprivation as well as the sensory overload to give any response. All at once, lights blinked on to illuminate a long hallway. On each side, there were 2 doors, each decorated with a clown face. 2 were female, while the others were male, all decorated with the same matching red face paint. So, what do we do now? I asked, my stomach still churning with perpetual anxiety. Now we go through each room to find the box containing the clown in each room, Derek replied as he began to reach for one of the doors to open. Supposedly, the amazing Bel Air will be in one of them as well. And we're gonna be the first one to find him. Wait! Liza piped up before Derek could turn the knob of the door. We gotta do this door first. I looked over to see her standing in front of a door with one of the female clowns labeling it. You always want to do Happy Franny's door first, Derek rebutted. Why don't we change it up a bit? Liza frowned and opened her mouth to protest, but was cut off by Derek. Think about it. Maybe the reason we never found him is because we started in the wrong place, you know? Liza stood in front of the door with her arms folded in annoyance. Tell you what, how about we split up? I offered, mostly just trying to get moving again. Me and Derek can do this one, and you can do that one. We'll meet back up in the middle. Liza rolled her eyes and said, whatever, with an exasperated sigh of annoyance. Oh, hell yeah, you and me, bro, Derek exclaimed, putting his hand up for a high five. Derek likes to high five. It's his thing. I heard Liza whisper, dorks, as I, still trying not to let on that I wasn't feeling right about Happy World anymore, attempted to return the high five as reassuringly as I could. It was our last high five. Have fun, I muttered rather weakly. Excuse me, gosh. This was then immediately followed by Derek teasing her, saying, yeah, have fun, chowderhead. Liza stuck out her tongue and gave Derek the finger, to which Derek shot back with 2 FUs of his own, forming his face into an expression of exaggerated surprise, and retorted, sit on him and spin. I couldn't help but actually snicker at this, both out of amusement and as a last-ditch effort to try and avoid the anxiety from my thoughts. Finally, she turned the knob of the Happy Franny door. I'm willing to swear on my life, though, that before she opened the door, she turned around and winked at me, smiling. Once Liza disappeared into the room, Derek turned to me, grabbing the knob. You ready, dude? Yeah, I replied, feeling a bit of the nervousness washed away. Just a bit. With a huge, excited grin, Derek said, "On 3. 1. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a clown, right?" I told myself, the image of the creepy red clown face from the poster assaulting my mind. 2, Derek said. The clown won't hurt me, right? The huge dark marble eyes with the 2 tiny glowing white dots in their center and the giant gaping red maw of the structure burrowed itself into my mind, the shadows further accentuating its ominous visage. I was imagining that I was being swallowed whole by the funhouse. Maybe it's not too late to turn. 3, Derek shouted as he threw the door open in excitement, ending my thought dead in its tracks. Inside, the room was dark, like in the entrance, save for these dark orange LED lights peppering small areas. Quickly, yet hesitantly, I stepped inside, Derek following close behind. The door slammed itself shut with a thud, making my heart pound that much harder in my chest. For a drawn-out momentum, we just stood there, consumed in an all-encompassing darkness that was only penetrated by the 3 dimly lit shaded orange spotlights hanging side by side in front of us. After a few seconds, my eyes adjusted to the darkness enough to make out the shapes of doors under each of the 3 spotlights. One of them had a yellow frowny face, ornament hanging on the front, while another was decorated with a smiling face. The last door had a more abstract expression. 2 X shapes for eyes and an O-shaped mouth. I had no time to ponder what the doors led to, however, before the booming voice rang out again. "Welcome. Before you are 3 doors. One leads to a dead end." A vintage-sounding recording of disappointed groans played out. "Another door will lead you into a maze to find our special friend, Happy Jacko." This time it was the sound of children cheering that echoed from all around. "The last door leads to a special secret surprise for anyone bold enough to enter." That was followed by a crowd of exaggerated oohs and surprising gasps. Secret surprise? I wondered before the voice boomed out, "Good luck, and most importantly, remember to smile," followed by the disjointed carnival music from before. "Follow me," Derek said as we approached the door in the middle with a smiley face. Before I knew it, I was following Derek to the smiley face door. Before he could even grab the doorknob to open the door, I piped up, "Wait!" "What's up?" he asked, staring puzzled at me with his hand still reaching for the knob of the smiley face door. My mind was racing between the nauseating senses of paranoia and dread that the godforsaken place continued to assault me with, and the possibilities of what the secret surprise was. "Let's try this door first," I suggested, pointing to the door with the shocked expression hanging on the front. Whatever the secret is, this is the door it would be behind, right? I reasoned to myself as I told Derek that's the door where we may have the strongest possibility of finding the amazing Bel Air. For a second, Derek stood there, pondering my suggestion. "Maybe we should split up too. You take that door and I'll take this one." This time, I was the one weighing options. Did I really want to do this alone? What about Derek? Was I really going to make him do this alone? Before I could actually voice any of these thoughts, however, Derek was already in the act of opening the smiley face door. I watched Derek close the door behind him and disappear into the room. Why didn't I follow him? Why couldn't I have gone through that door? I'm so sorry, Derek. For a moment that felt just shy of an eternity. I just stood there in front of the door, my body quivering like somebody shoved a fucking time bomb down my throat. What are you afraid of? I wondered, trying to rid myself of the cold dread that had burrowed its way back into my head with twice its original magnitude. This is what you wanted, right? What you were looking forward to? The chance to be the first to see the amazing Bel Air in the flesh? And that's the end of chapter 2. Mr. Sunday, how are you? Welcome in. It's good to see you. Oh boy. Loving it? I'm glad. It's certainly starting to increase in intensity just a little bit. You can really feel the apprehension within Linus. At first, had we not known that Derek wouldn't be coming out alive, I would almost think he was in on it. But based off of how the book is reading, all we hear is, I wish I could have stopped him. I wish he could still be here. You know, that kind of discussion within himself, within Linus's self. So I don't get the impression that Derek was, involved in any kind of way. I think he was just naive. Linus should have listened to his gut. Or better yet, acted on his gut. Oh boy. Such good tea. And there's plenty of pages to go, so something bad is definitely gonna happen. We just don't know exactly what yet. Are we ready for chapter 3? I know I am. Here we go. As I begin to reach for the door, hands shaking uncontrollably, I closed my eyes and began muttering out loud. There's nothing to be afraid of. Over and over like it was a mantra. My eyes shut open immediately upon grabbing the doorknob, jerking my hand back when I felt something slick and wet. What the hell? I remember thinking as I held up my hand to the dim, dark orange shade illuminating the door overhead. My eyes went wide at seeing the dark red stain covering my hand. At first, I was a bit confused, and my mind started running through questions. What the fuck is this stuff? Is it paint? Before long, however, another possibility slipped into the forefront of my mind, a much more sinister possibility. Is it blood? I felt my entire body go limp in utter dread as I looked back at the door, now noticing that was not only the knob stained with red, but the door itself was scattered with dark splotches all across the front haphazardly, like the splattering of blood. I closed my eyes and tried shaking the thought from my mind. There's nothing to be afraid of. Stop being a fucking chicken. Even as I told myself this, however, the image of the creepy clown poster crashed its way back into my mind. I felt those dead, marble eyes boring into me, staring into my very soul. The wide, split grin taunting me. I then envisioned the dark red makeup starting to melt and smear across the rest of the pasty white face. Like blood. This introduced Iron Shooter with 26 bits. Just kidding. Thank you, Madame, for the 26 bits. It's very kind of you. This introduced a new thought to me. Is that why all the makeup is red? Is it blood? Despite the frightening imagery invading my mind, I still felt compelled to open the door. Nothing behind this door will... But the thought died abruptly when I heard what sounded like someone crying in the distance. It was quiet, and I almost didn't even notice it. That was until I pressed my ear to the door and heard the crying get louder, sounding tortured. Is someone hurt in there? Despite the mounting dread building inside me, I found myself, albeit unconsciously, turning the knob of the door and walking inside. Instantly, I was blinded by the fluorescent lighting of the room, forcing me to squint my eyes nearly completely shut. Next, my sense of smell was assaulted by a foul miasma of rotted meat. My eyes watered, and I had to hold my breath to keep from emptying my stomach completely. I kept pressing forward, hearing the crying get louder. As I went, my eyes now able to adjust a bit to the harsh lighting, I saw that the room was a long white corridor with big, brown wooden crates lined against the walls, one on each wall. One of them was labeled with the classic yellow smiley face, but the other instead bore the creepy red smile from the poster. Just then, the loud voice boomed over the speaker again. Welcome to the secret passage. I was once again jarred by the sudden boom of his voice, derailing my train of thought. 2 boxes sit in front of you. A recording of exaggerated gasps, the kinds you hear on those old-timey game shows from the 50s, played before the voice continued. Inside the boxes you'll find a secret tunnel. One will lead you to the balloon room. This time it was a recording of children cheering. The other leads down the garbage chute. This was followed by a cartoonish-sounding foghorn blaring. Garbage chute? So that's where the awful smell is coming from? I thought to myself as the voice continued to tell me that I had 30 seconds to choose one of the passages. That's when a new voice came over the speaker. A younger voice. The voice was stuttering, quivering like they were going to break into tears any second. There was a loud bang sound, like someone had slammed something down. Then the younger voice came back, his voice shaking in absolute hysterics. I hear the Amazing Bel Air likes to hang out in the balloon room. I heard that too. You think our friend will... Or wait, that's the deep voice. I heard that too. You think our friend will find him? The deep, jovial voice said with the obviously fake surprised gasp you hear from all birthday clowns when they try to make something sound exciting. Lady Lurky. Hi there. For a second, all I heard was the young voice whimpering, I don't want to do this. I want to go home. Before there was another thud sound. This time, I was sure I could hear a crunching sound too, like crushing bones, which was followed immediately by the younger voice letting out a shrill cry of pain. What the fuck? I muttered aloud, unable to contain the terrified panic building up in me. I said, the jovial voice barked, now sounding far more aggressive. You think our friend will be able to find him? The young voice just kept crying that they wanted to go home. What the hell was going on? I wondered as I looked at my red-stained hand again, color draining from my face as the horrific revelation slowly became more and more clear to me. It looks like someone needs to visit the balloon room themselves. I heard the kid's voice start bawling, begging and pleading for dear life as it trailed further away from the mic. After that, it was silent again. I just stood there panicking, a million thoughts swarming my head like a horde of pissed-off wasps. What do I do? I stood wondering. Who was that over the speakers? Why did they sound so afraid? What were they doing to him? This line of questioning continued as I thought about the kid's begs and pleas when the other voice mentioned him going to the balloon room. That was when a new, far more sinister question rammed to the forefront of my thoughts, forcing my blood to freeze over. What's in the balloon room? Before I was able to further consider the possible horrors that were in the balloon room, however, I heard what sounded like sandpaper being dragged across metal. The eardrum shattering screech forced me to cover my ears as tightly as humanly possible, wincing in pain reflexively. When I opened my eyes, I saw that the long alabaster corridor looked smaller than before and more compact. The screech continued, and I watched the wall at the far end of the corridor push forward towards me. I began to step back as I watched the two walls begin to push toward each other, when I felt the wall behind me begin to push against me, forcing me forward. I began to panic, the true terror of the situation sinking further in with every inch the walls of the white corridor shifted towards the center. The walls were closing in. In my immediate panic, I grabbed the knob of the door behind me. I jerked with all my strength to no avail. The door wouldn't budge. I was pushed back towards the center of the room as the entrance wall continued its advance. That's when I began to make out the sound of a faint, tinkling tune. The more I listened, I realized that it was Pop Goes the Weasel. I stood in the center, scrambling in a petrified frenzy to think of a way out of the corridor. I looked at the two crates at my right and left. One leads to the balloon room, and the other leads down the garbage chute. The jovial voice mentally reminded me as I began exchanging glances between the two crates. Oh, which one am I supposed to go through? I frantically asked myself. The walls to my left and right were now only about 3 feet apart from each other. I looked at the one with the red smile and began to attempt to open it. The next few moments felt like time had slowed down, every second feeling drawn out just to tease me. I started prying at the crate with all of my strength, made even more erodious because of the wall's advancement pushing me away from the crate. Each time I was pushed away from the approaching wall in front of me, I'd stumble back only to basically ricochet off the wall behind me, continuing to close in for the kill. I felt my arms begin to get weak after about the 5th unsuccessful attempt at prying the crate open, my fingertips feeling like they were seconds away from being ripped off the ends of my fingers. By then, there was only about 1.5 feet between each wall. As I kept feebly trying to pry the crate open, tears filled my eyes with the thoughts of being crushed and compacted into a human garbage chute. I began to feel the crate from the wall behind me press against my back. I looked up and saw that both the entrance wall and the rear wall now only had barely a foot of clearance between each other. I felt the crate continue to push me forward from the advancing wall behind me and the approaching wall in front of me, now only about 5 inches apart from each other. That was when, amidst the panic-induced terror consuming my thoughts, an idea quickly molded itself into my head. I knew that before too much longer the walls would eventually bring the two crates together, crushing them both. I thought of the way that the top of a drink can burst open if enough force was applied to the rest of the can. If I can just get the lid off, I told myself as I climbed on top of the crate behind me. Now, with no available clearance left in any direction, I knew I'd have to be careful to only let it compress the crate enough to pop the top loose, just enough to reveal the supposed passageway inside for me to slip through before I'm crushed. When the two crates finally met, I heard a loud whir as the walls attempted to continue their menacing advancement, now temporarily stalled by the two wooden crates. The corridor was now only barely a fraction of its original length and width. I couldn't even extend my arms in either direction without feeling one of the four walls around me. I could actually feel the extra effort it took for me to even properly breathe. Oh, come on, just a little more, I muttered as I watched the two crates press further and further into each other, my face drenched in sweat and tears, and my heart thundering in my chest. I found my lucky break when I heard the distinct sound of the wood crunching and the pop of the nails being forced loose. Immediately, I reached over and forced off the lid of the crate in front of me to reveal a round hole in the center of it that had one of those dark tube slides, like what you find in a jungle gym, attached to it. As the walls began to regain their former speed, I all but hurled myself headfirst into the tube slide. I had to only hold my breath as I went down the tube slide, as the horrid stench from before returned with even more potency. This must be the one for the garbage chute, I realized as I tried once again to empty my stomach as I went down the tube. I continued to slide down the darkened tube until I was eventually ejected out and into what I presumed to be the garbage chute. I fell out of the slide, bracing for impact against a cold, hard floor. I was slightly surprised, however, when I landed on something soft. And that ends chapter 3. It's intense. It's supposed to be intense. But it's good stuff, though. Rio, my dear. I'm lurking on you. Hold on. Can't lurk myself. Okay, got it. Hi, Rio. How was the rest of Baldur's Gate? And are you feeling any better? I hope. Now, yeah, you can lurk me, absolutely. I love it when you lurk. We are reading a horror-themed story tonight. It's actually a novella-sized book, split into 3 short stories. We are on the first. My dog doesn't seem to mind, though. So yeah, we just finished the 3rd chapter, and then you raided. Uh-oh, it was frustrating. Had to take a break because boss battle was kicking my arse. I'm struggling, but trying my best. Well, if anyone can figure it out, it's gonna be you. Absolutely. You play that game so much that I would go to you for advice if I played it. So, I have no doubts. Folks, if you don't know who my friend Rio is, I encourage you to find out. She's one of the kindest, warmest hearted people that I've been lucky enough to find on Twitch. She's got a heart of gold. She's been through a lot, so she has the understanding that most people don't. And it's just a good time over there. So feel free to stop by. Thank you, Super. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much for the raid. You raid me so often, and I can't say thank you enough. Warms my heart. Even when we read a scary story. I owe some squats. Got me in happy tears? Good. You deserve to be happy. And I need to do some squats. Thankfully, it's only 15, so it'll be easy. So I'm going to do those now. Nailed it. Need to eat and calm down. Way better than listen. Perfect. You do that, Rio. Thank you again for the raid. Enjoy your lurk and your food. Squat time? Oh yeah. I need to shrink down that number though, because we did our squats. There we go. Took care of that. How is everybody doing? Is everyone doing okay? I'm liking this music. Definitely fits the theme. I like it. I like it a lot. Just as a reminder, the first short story, which is kind of like the first entry because it's like this guy's recalling of past events. It's simply called The Balloon. So We're on chapter 4 of the first entry, The Balloon. Here we go. For at least a good 10 minutes or so, I just lay there as the terrified adrenaline began to wear off, leaving both my body and mind just completely drained. As my heart rate slowly returned to normal, my eyes began to register the surrounding environment. By this point, despite it being strongest in this new room, I somehow managed to adapt to the offensive carrion odor to the point that it had no effect on me anymore. The room was almost without light completely, save for a faint glow in the center of the room. I sat up, feeling something soft underneath my hands. Something smooth, yet cold and clammy. What the hell is this? I wondered, unable to see what I was now sitting on top of. It felt familiar in how smooth and malleable the thing beneath me seemed, yet odd at the same time at how cold and stiff it felt. I felt around as I began to bring myself to my feet, still feeling much of the same sensations as before. Once I managed to fully stand, I began making my way towards the faint, orangish-red glow in the center of the room, stumbling with almost every step of the way, with the ground seeming to be uneven and shifting beneath my feet. About midway to the center of the room, something snagged my right foot and my balance faltered, causing me to trip and fall on my face into the illuminated radius. After quickly recovering to my feet, I saw that the glow was coming from 2 long white candles that sat in slender silver holders, sitting on top of this long black marble slab. Facing me on the other side of the slab was a large painted portrait of a man clad in a gray hooded robe. The man's face was a ghostly white, with long black shoulder-length hair and black painted lips that split into an unnatural and sinister smile that stretched from one side of his face to the other, and a long, thin, black, goat-looking beard. Even more disturbing, however, were the large, black inverted cross designs painted around his eyes. As I felt across the slab, I noticed indentations in the surface. I grabbed one of the candles and held it close to the indentations, making out the carving of a 5-pointed star forming what looked like to be the head of a goat. Below the symbol were the words, "Praise Belia," carved into the slab's smooth surface. What the fuck is this place? I remember thinking. While I was never raised religious, I did grow up watching enough of the classic Hammer films to know what a satanic altar looked like. Thoughts came rushing through my head, trying to connect the dots to form a horrific picture. I began to back away from the altar, the candle still in my hand, when I misstepped, falling backward. I rolled over and held up the candle to see what had tripped me, and I screamed. There, staring at me with 2 milky white spheres rolled all the way back, was the mutilated face of a young boy who couldn't have been any older than me at the time. With the candle's warm glow, I saw the boy's eyelids had been forcefully removed, having torn away most of the skin around the sockets as well, leaving his eyes to just sit there in 2 bloody exposed sockets. Instantly, my mind reeled back to the image of the poster, the bright, dark red circles around 2 dead eyes. That image was made even more haunting when I saw that the boy's lips had been ripped clean off his face, completely exposing the inside of his mouth from one end to the other, parting upwards at the cheeks to form a demented smile. As I moved the lights away from the dead boy's face to illuminate other areas of the room, I saw that there were more bodies everywhere. Hundreds of thousands, horrifically scarred bodies, all of them kids, all with their eyelids and mouths torn, carved into ghoulish smiles. Some of them looked even younger than the one I tripped over, and I looked to be further decayed than others, It was at this point that I just couldn't take it anymore, and I doubled over and vomited. Once I had emptied the contents of my stomach until there were only dry heaves, I just sat there, crying, wanting to just go home. It was then that I heard the sound of a door opening. I looked over to see an open doorway silhouetting 4 figures. 3 of them were adults by their height, and the last was shorter, a kid. Thinking quickly, I hid myself by burying myself underneath a few of the nearby corpses, leaving a small opening that was just big enough for me to peek out without being noticed. I heard the kid struggling. "Please, just let me go. I won't tell anyone. I swear to fucking God." The kid cried, his voice sounding all too familiar to me, though my mind didn't want to admit already knowing exactly whose voice it was. "Uh-oh, somebody's got a foul mouth." A deep, jovial voice, the same deep, jovial voice from earlier, shouted before bursting into a fit of demented giggling. Another, hyper-jovial voice, this one more high-pitched and jittery, replied with, "Well, you know what that means, don't you? Happy, Bob?" The other just kept giggling insanely, and I heard the kid wail out in pain. That's when another voice spoke up, this one inhumanely deep and imposing. "Enough. Brother Jacko, deliver the child to the altar." I saw the silhouettes of the figures approach the slab, the kid thrashing and wailing as they dragged him along. My eyes widened in dread as I saw, illuminated in the candle's glow, was the clown from the painting, complete with the inverted crosses around his eyes. He was wearing a black and white striped hat with 2 curved horns that curled back like horns of a goat. Soon after, the other 2 joined at the altar, forcing the kid onto the slab. Despite the limited illumination, the sinister display before me was clear enough for me to see from where I was hiding. Standing at either end of the slab were the 2 clowns. The one on the left-hand side was a scrawny clown in a yellow suit with a crude smile stitched into it, and wearing a weird black and yellow striped hat with 2 ends that hung down to the left side of his head, bearing a smiley face and a frowny face ball attached to the ends. While the clown on the right was more heavy-set with a round face, wearing a black and white dual-colored suit, and had a sailor's hat with a sad face on it, both with the same albino face paint, and by now, all too familiar red face paint designs around their eyes and mouths. The leader was standing in the middle, facing forward in my direction from the other side of the slab. My heart nearly stopped dead, however, when I saw that my unspoken dreaded fear was realized, when I saw that the kid struggling on the slab was Derek. No, this isn't about to happen, is it? Knowing damn well exactly what they planned to do to him. I could see him struggling as hard as he could, but it was no use against the iron vice grips the clown had on his arms and legs, restraining him to the slab. Who are you people? Why are you doing this? Please, just let me go. The longer I watched this morbid act unfold, the more I could see Derek's petrified and bludgeoned face. What have they done to him? My mind began to cycle back to earlier in the white corridor, hearing the sounds of snapping bone and the wail of agony that followed. Now, the full horror of that situation was revealed. Unto thee in the burning lake beneath, I, your servant, present this offering. The clown with the inverted crosses around his eyes bellowed, his unnaturally baritone vocals echoing off the walls of the dark room. No, please, just let me go. I won't tell anybody. Derek bawled as the clown then pulled out a dagger and a small black book. I just sat there, hidden under a pile of corpses of kids who'd been sacrificed, watching in hopeless terror as they were preparing to do the same to my friend. I have to do something. Of course, I had no idea of what. I watched as the one in the middle poised the blade above Derek's right eye before continuing. I only ask of thee in return for the eternal youth and happiness for myself and my disciples. Praise Belair, the other two chanted in unison. Belair. My heart plummeted into my stomach as the realization became clear. The clown then opened the small book and began chanting in another language. Imonimin levethian septemium bestis exobiso, or something like that. As he cut into Derek's right eye, ripping away his eyelid and the rest of his skin around it. Derek's cries of pain were so shrill that I was forced to seal my eyes shut tight and cover my ears. I still hear his screams. I'll always hear his screams. When he was finished, the clown in the middle, the amazing Belair, then poised the blade over his left eye and chanted, In nomine Amadeus Princeps Infernus, before plunging the blade down above his left eye, slowly cutting away the skin around it, like with the other. I couldn't just sit there and watch anymore. I thought that if I could somehow distract them long enough to let go, Derek might be able to run away. As I tried to formulate a plan, I saw the amazing Belair proceed to insert the blade into Derek's mouth. Derek screamed out, Please, no more, while shaking his head and staring, pleading for mercy with his exposed, skinless eyes. I worked myself out from under the pile of bodies on top of me, unnoticed, as the amazing Belair began dragging the blade across the right corner of his mouth, tearing it upward across his cheek and up to his right ear while chanting, In nomine Santanis Seditis and Duraco et Pater Infin. Let him go, you fucking bastards! I screamed, interrupting him before he could finish. Derek lolled his head over in my direction, fully exposing the mutilation of his face. Linus, he croaked out weakly, his vocal cords strained from his screams. Run. But I was already charging head first into the clown on the left that was restraining his arms. Apparently, having successfully caught him by surprise, I actually managed to shove the clown away from the altar and was even able to tackle him to the ground. My luck didn't last, however, as he quickly and easily threw me off of him, hurling me to the floor. Before I could try for another assault, however, the other clown grabbed me off the floor and yanked me onto my feet, pinning my arms behind my back. I tried to struggle against him, but it was no use. His grip was like a gorilla. The more I struggled, the further back he pinned my arms, causing me to cry out in pain. Oh, it looks like we got us a wild one here, eh, Jacko? Old buddy? The fat-faced clown called to the other one that I'd tackled, who now had Derek restrained to the slab once again. The clown then forced me to the ground on my face before planting his foot firmly in my back, seizing my arms, and yet again, pinning them even harder, causing me to shriek in even more agony. Why don't we see how loud he can scream, Happy Bob? Make the little piggy squeal for Mommy. Chrissy. Hi, Chrissy. How are you? Good evening to you. Happy Jacko suggested, giggling hysterically. I looked up, craning my neck to lock eyes with Derek, still forced down to the slab. His eyes, though scarred and skinless, looked almost apologetic. That was when I felt the boot of Happy Bob raise up and slam down into the middle of my back, using my arms to try and bend my upper torso backward in an attempt to snap me in half. This caused me to scream harder than ever, until the amazing Belair bellowed, "Enough," prompting him to remove his boot from my back and release my arms. I just laid there, too sore to move. That's when the amazing Belair approached me and kneeled down, nudging my chin up with his finger to meet his sinister gaze. For a moment, he just stared at me, his soulless black eyes burning into mine. Please just let us go," I weakly begged, my body still throbbing with pain. His back lips split into a menacing grin as he stroked my cheek. Much better now, very happy I could make it to one of your readings. I have a small migraine, so you are my sound for the evening. Well, picked a heck of a book. But I'm sorry you have a migraine. Those suck. I will do my best. By the way, Chrissy, if you're planning to join us for Fourth Wing, just type in !4th into chat, and that will get you a Discord link. And here in about 13 minutes or so, I will be in the event chat, reading in there. So, you do with that what you need to. That is, I don't know if I'm going to finish. This is actually really long, so we won't finish this chapter. I love scary stories almost as much as your Fourth Wing readings. Fantastic. His grin then disappeared as he looked up at Happy Bob and said in a cold, deep tone, "Bring the boy to the altar." I felt him forcefully grab my arms and hoist me to my feet, guiding me over to the altar where I was once again staring into my friend's mutilated face. I then looked over to see that the amazing Belair now held a large sledgehammer in his hands. You also have a bad headache and my neck is killing me. This has been nice. Sheesh. Is everybody okay? Like, everybody seems to be broken. What are you doing? I sputtered, my eyes going wide as fear drained the color from my face. He must have seen the terror in my eyes as he just smiled again and stroked my cheek with the left face of the hammer, teasing me. "Do you care for this boy's life?" he asked in his deep voice, a sense of sick glee seeping through. A tear ran down my cheek as I stared into Derek's naked and exposed eyes. His smile grew as he moved the sledgehammer away from my face and looked down at Derek. I began trying to struggle again, but it was no use. My arms might as well have been caught in a bear trap. I watched him raise the sledgehammer above his head and swing it down with all of his strength on Derek's shoulder, flattening it and shattering the bones. "Stop it!" I screamed, tears filling my eyes. Stop, boo-hoo-hoo," Happy Bob mocked, giggling hysterically. The hammer came down 3 more times onto Derek's chest, and he began to cough up blood while convulsing. You always were the best at whack-a-mole. Happy Jacko cheered, bursting into his own giggling fit. He finally dropped the sledgehammer as Derek's body started to go limp. Derek? Derek? I screamed through my tears. Uh-oh, somebody's not happy. Happy Bob quicked in a sing-song voice. I looked back to see him pucker his bottom lip and make whimpering sounds. Oh boy. I get debilitating tension migraines occasionally, but I'll be okay. Oof. Far from the bubbly persona you got a glimpse of yesterday. Yeah, no kidding. Quite the opposite indeed, but that's all right. I'm here to help. As far as tonight's creepy clown funhouse book, though, that's where we'll have to leave it off until next time. Next time, of course, being on Sunday. So, not that far. Just a few days. The other chapters were nice and bite-sized. This one is not. In fact, the chapter we're on will finish the entire story. If I weren't needing to be in Discord right after, I would just say, let's keep going, we'll finish it, and then we can start a whole new story next time. But prior engagements can't do that. But that's okay. So how do I join the Fourth Wing reading again? So if you have the Discord link, which I think you do, there'll be a voice chat called Event Chat. That's where I'll be joining at the top of the hour, and whoever else that's going to be coming in there as well. And then that's where I'll read from. So there's no one in there right now because everyone's waiting for me, basically. Ah, perfect. So the real B12 will pop into chat, and you'll be able to see her hanging out in there, and then that's where you'll know to go. So yes, I tell you what, this book has been quite interesting so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm very curious to see how this short story ends, and then knowing that there's 2 more short stories right after that. Anything is possible. It's gonna be crazy. But for now, I want to say thank you to everyone that has come in. Rio for the raid. And for any of you viewers that are still here, thank you for hanging out. And also for the bits, for all the weird and wacky stuff that Twitch just added. Let's see, who are we gonna go raid to? Because we need to do that. We need to do that. It's always good to say hello to other. Oh, I know who we're gonna go raid to. I'm gonna be hanging out with this person tomorrow, playing some Helldivers off stream, just in Discord. So I think we can go raid the Goat Mother. She is part of the Hype Mine community. So if you don't mind just copying and pasting that message, it's for everybody. And again, thank you for being here. It always makes my day when you guys pop in and come hang out with me while we read a book. So I appreciate it. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a wonderful night.